When you have a really content-heavy, complex website, creating a navigational component that encompasses all of the different levels of your website can be somewhat of a daunting task. However, with Adobe Muse, you have the ability to use something called a dynamic menu, which will automatically generate navigational components for you. In this movie, I'll show you how to create both vertical and horizontal navigation components that encompass all of the different areas of your website without you having to do really anything. Let's take a look. First thing I'm going to do is take a look at all of these different aspects of the site. So you can see here we've got a home page, an About Us page, which splits off into two sub-pages. We've also got a Services page with two other pages. We've got a Stores page, a Support page, and a Contact page. So a pretty big website in general. And what I want to do is I want to be able to create on a master page a navigational component that has all of these different things in it. And also I want it to have drop-down menus that go to these sub-pages and everything. And so traditionally, this would be a lot of work. I would have to know HTML and JavaScript and a bunch of other stuff. But with Adobe Muse, I don't have to know how to do that. I just have to build out my sitemap so that it makes sense and so that Adobe Muse can tell exactly what it needs to include in the menu. Now, when I go to my master page, I can start off by going to the Widgets panel. And so if I go to the Widgets library over here, we can open this up a bit and go to Menus. And I have two options. I have horizontal and vertical. Let's start off with horizontal. And I'll just drag this out. You see as I drag it out, it just has lorem ipsum text inside of it. But when I actually let it go, it's going to have all of those different pages that I had in my sitemap. Now, one of the things that it is missing are the sub-pages. So how do I get that in here? Well, I go right here to this little blue icon. And when I go to the blue icon, it brings up menu options. And so I can determine what type of menu I want. So I can say, top level pages only, that means everything that's on the top of my sitemap, or all pages, or I can set up a manual menu. We'll talk about that in the next movie. But now let's do all pages. And so when I do that, you'll see that these little drop-down menus show up here. And so I can also turn on or off different parts and pieces of this. So I can turn off labels. I can turn those back on. I can show a left icon if I want. I can turn that off. I can also show the right icon for submenus only, or I could hide that entirely. That gets rid of that little black triangle there. And so I can also determine the parts positioning. So I can say horizontally center aligned, horizontally top aligned, vertically center aligned, that kind of thing. So if you play around with this, you can kind of see what these look like. So it just basically changes the appearance of the menu. I think horizontally center aligned is the best option for this. And so now if I want to close this, just click once again on that little blue icon. And if I want to preview it to see what it looks like, just go to the preview section. And when I get to the preview section, you're going to notice here that those little submenus don't show up. Well, where did they go? When I hover over them, they appear. And you can see this is something I can tell you when I first started doing web design, to learn how to do something like this, just as simple as a drop down with two options, it took me forever to learn how to do something like this. And so when I first saw Adobe Muse could do this just by dragging and dropping something onto the screen, it made me both really happy and really sad because I had spent so much time learning how to do it. And then somebody comes along and builds a tool that did what I was trying to learn how to do all along. So lucky for you, you get to just drag and drop. But for people like me who had to learn this old school, we have an unbelievable appreciation for just how difficult this can be to create these kind of things. Okay. So that's the horizontal menu. Let's take a look at a vertical menu now. I'll delete this menu, and let's drag out a vertical menu. And at first glance, it looks much the same as the other menu that we had. And if I click right here, we get the same type of options. You can choose the different menu types. So I'll do all pages again, just so you can see what it looks like. And we'll keep everything else the same in here. And then I'll just collapse this. And so let's preview it. Take a look at how it functions. So when I scroll through, you can see there's the drop down, and same here. And so all of this is taken care of without you writing any code whatsoever, which is just mind-boggling to me. You can also manipulate the menus if you want. So you can do things like select it and then change the size of it. You'll change them all at once by doing this. If you want to turn that off or you just want to manipulate one at a time, click the little blue icon and then choose Edit Together. When you do that, then you are able to actually come in here and manipulate individual items one at a time. And so no matter if you need a vertical or horizontal menu, I highly recommend that you at least start with these. right here. It's all going to start, of course, with having a well thought out, well planned sitemap. So you have to make sure you get that nailed down first. And that's why we talked about that so much at the very beginning of this course. It's because that sitemap is the backbone of these widgets, the horizontal and vertical menu. So if you don't get that right off the bat, then your menus just aren't going to do what you want them to do. But if you have that sitemap planned out and you have everything in order the way it needs to be, creating menus is really, really easy.